Holden the Dentist here, and welcome to my new updated channel. This is something new I wanted to try, and honestly I've been wanting to do for a while now, but just never had enough time or just the to go ahead and do it. But now with everything happening in the world, I figured, what the heck, now or never, let's give it a shot. With this channel, I'm going to do a couple things. First, I'm going to start uploading projects of percussion pieces. These are pieces that I've either never had a chance to play it publicly, or maybe I didn't get a good recording of it, or just have been playing on my own and just kind of want to put it out there. One of those projects is this video right here. The second type of project I want to do is pieces that I've wrote in the past. So these are maybe mostly pieces I've wrote for students. It could be either duets or maybe singular pieces or pieces that I've wrote myself. I want those type of videos. I want to go ahead and archive those compositions so I can have kind of a record of the pieces that I've wrote and have everyone enjoy those pieces. I also want to edit and finalize the compositions and have sheets for those who are interested in maybe purchasing them and playing with their own students. Each video I'll explain specifically what that piece was meant to be, either what rhythms we're working on or what was kind of during that curriculum what we're working on. You can get a kind of a background of the piece and you can get an idea of this is a piece you want to try. The next video I do will be more, I'll talk more in detail about that project. What you're about to hear is the piece called Rhythm Song. If you're a percussionist or if you're interested in four mounts or if you've done four mounts in the past, you've probably heard this song or know about it. It's probably one of the more famous marimba solos, you could say. It's also one of my favorite pieces for marimba, like of all time. Once I heard the piece for the first time in college, I fell in love with the piece and I wanted to learn as fast as possible. The piece is so zen-like that every time I come up to the marimba and I play it, I get kind of this meditative state and really gets me in the zone or just makes me feel good just playing it. It's one of those pieces that has just never left my hands. I've always somehow kept it in place. Every time I go to marimba and I play something, I'm able to play that piece without really thinking about it, which is really cool. So kind of backstory about this project in particular, I was preparing for a faculty recital, a duet recital, and I wanted to put this in here because what was fascinating to me is on the piece of music it says for two or more marimbas, and that really got me thinking, would it be a cool idea to make it a duet? Over the years, I got players here and there. I remember playing it first time with a fellow colleague. We played it as a kind of marimba duet. And the problem I was finding that I wasn't adding anything to it. It was just two people playing the marimba part. As like if we're doing front ensemble, I just had two people playing the exact same part. So it didn't really add anything. Then I started adding some extra stuff to it. So I thought, okay, maybe I can add maybe a vibraphone part to it and maybe a cymbal part. So I started coming up with some other people too, with collaboration, coming up with some idea of like, okay, if we had you play this part on vibes and I'll start the marimba part or whatever. I started mixing and matching with that. But when it came down to it, it was still not quite working and I haven't been able to like finalize that. So 2 years ago, collaborated with a good friend of mine now. And I approached the idea of like, hey, I really want to make a backing track because another friend of mine did a piece, Velocities, and he came up with a backing track. And I thought that was such a cool idea, such a unique idea. So I said, okay, I want to come up with something. So him and I sat down, we sketched some ideas, and I said, I came up with like, okay, in this section, I want this to happen, or these instruments, or this kind of sound. And I gave it to him, and he kind of took off with it. Came back with his sketch, and he had some ideas, and then, okay, let's go in the studio. Let's add some live instruments to it, because I wanted a mixture of electronic as well as live instruments. So you hear in the piece that you'll hear some Doombeck, you'll hear some Udu, you'll hear some frame drum. I was really into Middle Eastern percussion and still am, so I wanted to add that flavor to Rhythm Song. I also still keep the intact of it, still have that idea of marimba duet. So you'll hear some echoing marimba parts in there. You'll also hear zen-like stage, so you'll hear some rain or some waves. I wanted to still have it still meditative throughout the whole piece. Of course, there are movements and parts of the piece that really groove hard. There's other parts of the piece that are more calming. And I wanted to get that across when we play this piece. At the end, you'll see everything breaking down until we're left with one note. But with the composition, you would eventually take away a note. And what I wanted to keep that note keep echoing throughout. So eventually you'll hear me playing one note, but you'll still hear the other notes in the background. So I wanted to finalize this piece and get it out to the public so I can say I'm done with this project. I hope you enjoy my rendition of Rhythm Song by Smadbeck. Enjoy and keep on drumming.
Bye.